Cahuera. My workshop Q3 summary is on a pair of headphones that I fixed for a friend of mine. Specifically, this. This project started near the end of the second quarter. Once she asked me at dismissal, I don't remember if she was kidding or not, but she said, and I quote, "Can your workshop maybe fix my headphones?" Again, I don't remember if she was kidding or not. But that's how I got inspired to do the project. I took a good look at her headphones that were messed up to see what was wrong with them. So then that day, I went home and I went on YouTube to see if there are any videos that can help me demonstrate how to fix the headphones. I had no idea how to do it. On the video, it looked a little complex, but then I decided that it was worth it. In the video, it told me that I needed a 1/8 millimeter headphone jack, specifically this. Again, it did look a little complex, but because I saw that, I thought that I could just use the plug of an ordinary headphones, like these. So I asked a friend of mine if he had headphones that I could use, that he does not use. And then I told him the entire story about how I wanted to fix the headphones for that friend of mine. So he gave me the headphones and I started playing around with the plug. When I finally got all the rubber off, it wasn't what I expected. I thought maybe that I could just solder the wire of the headphones to the plug and maybe it would still work that way. Turns out I was wrong. But then Jenny told me that I could just take another pair of headphones that I don't use and then just cut the wire a few inches away from the plug, and then I can solder that plug to the pair of headphones that need to be fixed. Now the problem with the pair of headphones that need to be fixed in the first place is that the plug is messed up. When you plug it in, you don't hear anything that the MP3 is playing. So that was kind of cheap.
I cut the wire an inch away from the plug, and I stripped the wire about an inch. Inside the rubber of the wire, there was the green wire, the red wire, and the ground, which is the copper wire. I had to twist the green wire of the headphones to the green wire of the plug, and the red wire of the headphones to the red wire of the plug, and the ground of the headphones to the ground of the plug. Because there were two grounds wires in the headphones, I had to twist those two wires together, then twist them to the ground of the plug. I was then ready to solder. I started to solder, and Jenny told me that there needs to be a silver coating on the wire. There wasn't. I was using my soldering iron, and it was messed up. As I kept trying to put the silver coating on, the tip of my soldering iron fell off. That was pretty embarrassing. I switched to a different soldering iron, and yet the solder did not stick. Jenny then gave me flux to spread on the headphones so the solder would stick. That still did not help. Then it was time for the final product, wire glue. I placed wire glue on all the wires and used a toothpick to help place it. After I was done, I let it dry.
A day later, I tested the headphones and it did not work. Maybe it was the soldering iron I used. I decided to give it another try with the same plug. So I repeated the process, and I used one of the quality soldering irons that Jenny has. The silver coating that Jenny told me about was then there. I had hope again when I retested it, and yet another failed attempt. By then I had told Jenny that I really needed that plug that I mentioned earlier. So I came into workshop the other day, and she handed me the plug, but it wasn't what I expected. It was a 3.5 millimeter jack, which is those cords so that you can play your MP3 out loud with a radio or stereo. Specifically this. So I decided that I could cut that in half and maybe use that and solder it to the headphones that I'm fixing. the same thing that I was doing with the other plug. So I repeated the process. I soldered all the wires that needed to be soldered. And then, when I was done soldering, the silver coating that Jenny told me about was there. I started measuring the headphones because on the video that I saw that taught me how to fix the headphones, I learned that the more you strip the wire of the more you strip the wire of your headphones, the more chances it will be uncomfortable when you use it when it is fixed. Because if you look carefully, if you keep cutting it and cutting it and cutting it, it would probably end up near the earpieces. Now it would be, just let me untangle these. It would be more like this. Your headphones in your ears, and then you end up cutting it because of a bunch of failed attempts of fixing it, and yet you finally fix it, and it's up to this point. It would be right here, and most people would find it uncomfortable having their MP3 near their face the entire time. I know I would find it uncomfortable. That was only for precautions, just in case I did fail. I didn't have hope that time, so I was expecting that I would because of how it didn't work last time. So then I got to the test, and then at that point, I got success. The headphones worked perfectly. The only thing was, the headphones were white, and the 3.5mm jack was black. Now that didn't really make the headphones look attractive anymore. So Jenny got me electrical tape that I can wrap around the soldered wires so that nothing else can happen. And then I decided, because I had white electrical tape, I decided just to wrap the entire plug with white electrical tape so that the entire headphones would...
Your father has just issued a call to your cell.
Excuse me.
This is not a test.
Hello? Sorry about that. As I was saying, I wrapped the 3.5mm jack with white electrical tape so that every single part of the headphones would look nice, instead of me just having to wrap black tape all over the headphones. That wouldn't really look pretty now, would it? That wouldn't really satisfy that friend of mine. So I did that, and it worked perfectly, and everything else was even. Now you all may be wondering what I learned from this project. Well, one thing I learned is that there needs to be a silver coating on the wire and that tells you that the wire has been soldered. I also learned that sound goes through when each colored wire touches each other. Now soldering just keeps them touching each other so that they don't fly everywhere. Lastly, I learned that when you solder each colored wire, they all need to be separate. And I learned that lesson from the first time when I soldered it, because I soldered a few wires and they were near each other, and that's not what's supposed to happen. The last part of this project, returning the headphones. The friend of mine was satisfied, and she found it kind of amusing that I used white electrical tape to even the odds of the color for the headphones. She even laughed at the fact that I used the 3.5mm jack. Well, that's my workshop summary for the third quarter, and this project has been successful after 2 out of 3 failed attempts during a month. Thank you very much.